All right, here we are. Another week around the trash fire. Your host, Mathias, along with the boys.
John.
And Will.
Yes, yes. Welcome. Are you guys bearing this heat wave that we had last week?
It wasn't that bad. And then, in the morning it sucked. The afternoon, but like in the late afternoon, I actually did some outside gaming and it didn't feel that bad, at least to me.
It was pretty bad. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, but there's also I'm fortunate enough that I have a teeny tiny desk fan that blows directly into my face during the workday, so I'm able to survive the swelter.
Yeah, well, thankfully we're getting closer to fall, so it's gonna start getting cooler. Hopefully. Knowing California weather, though, like could be like December till it gets start getting cold.
Fewer flames as well.
Yes, that too would be nice.
That would be a very welcome change.
Though at least we're not in the eastern part getting hit by the hurricane.
Yeah, that is a bummer also. But fortunately, we have things like air conditioning units to help us.
Survive.
Indeed. Or
Oh,
ice cubes.
That is true. You can just gargle those when all else fails.
true.
It's not the most dignified, but it gets the job done.
Whatever gets you comfortable. Well, not a lot has happened except for Warhammer Plus, but in terms of news for Warhammer side, not much here. Um, let's let's jump into the Sunday preview, shall we? So, Orks are coming for pre-order this week. About time for
Um,
October in September
Surprising.
Or timber.
or October.
Torkber. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I mean, Orktober and Orktember, roughly using the same level of joke of just put the word orc in front of the suffix for the month, right? I mean, it could have been Orcuary. Like they could have. It's funny because Orktober just sounds cool because I guess it sounds kind of orky, but like it could be almost any month.
Right.
Except for maybe Orcsember. That sounds like some sort of a virus. Or like some sort of condition that causes, your bones turn green.
Or like mage, you're saying what, like orc or cray? It just sounds like you're saying okay, but you have like
Orca.
yeah, it's just weird because they maybe they didn't, but I'm just gonna go with what they did last time. They kind of popularized the term October, so it's weird that they're not releasing orcs in October.
Well, Orktember is looking to kick the crap out of Orktober.
True, true. Because we're finally all the people who weren't able to get a Beast Snagger box can finally get a Orc Codex now.
yes.
So how long was the turnaround?
A
Uh,
month, 2 months?
didn't they came out in what
Last
July?
month. It
July, right?
hasn't been that long ago, but yeah.
I thought they
It
came out in
feels
July.
pretty recent. It might have been July actually.
It was a month. Yeah.
And let's see. So this was announced, and all this stuff. Well, not everything, but the new Orc Wave was announced back in April during Warhammer Fest, of course.
Right.
So it's only 5 months later for a month that's probably going to be their entire release. It's not so bad as far as it goes, but it does give you an idea of how long wind up time is with this stuff, even with marketing.
Right. Now it does screw over the Stormcast and Rule Boys.
Yeah,
It gets back
that's
for some reason.
That's a bit of a bummer. I'm sure it's just a matter of the schedule got shifted around due to other things not being in stock and trying to also make sure that everybody got a copy of Kill Team because that was
Right.
probably a pretty resource intensive thing on their cardboard slash plastic department, particularly with the promise they made to make sure everyone would get one.
Yeah, with the made to order stuff. Um
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's coming out finally. I'm still angry at GW that I think the Orc book should have been available digitally when the Beast Snaggle book came out. That's just my opinion. I don't think Orc players should have waited a whole month to get a book.
Yeah, having it trapped in the big box and having no. Well, I mean, I guess. Well, now Warhammer 40,000 the app is a little different because of Warhammer Plus, but I guess you could have only entered the digital code uh, if you had it sold to you, right?
If you got the code, if you got the Beast Snaggle book,
If you got the
Yeah, like
book, you can
if
download
somebody
it.
sold the code, like if you weren't able to get the box.
Right. It's just I don't know what GW is thinking with this in the digital age that we're in.
right? They don't want to piss people off who like books, which surprisingly is a lot of Warhammer fans.
I mean, I like codexes too, but a digital book would be just as fine. A digital book works just as fine because I made my Dark Eldar, my Thousand Sons back in 8th edition. I, that was all digital books, and I had no problems with that.
Right for you, but what I'm
Right.
saying is a lot of yeah, and me personally, I prefer digital copies. I don't like lugging books around, but I know a fair amount, even in the local game store, a fair amount of hobbyists that do not want to use their phones or their tablets, and they want the book copy. And from what I remember, it's a significant portion of the customer base are like book cultists. Uh,
That's absolutely true. As being somebody who also enjoys Dead Tree copies, for most things, not for everything, but for most things, just nice to have the book. I don't know. It just sort of makes sense with it being such an analog hobby. Like in my brain, like I just like having the book to have a little less screen time. But I think that is pretty predominant that people tend to prefer having the physical books, even though they are less convenient. But I do think what Matt is saying is right that they should have a way to get the digital copies sort of as soon as possible um,
mhm,
for the people who would like them, or for the people who simply, you know, weren't able to get the the book when it came out.
be
And I
snagging.
think B Snag a Box, yeah, because like particularly for 40K where everything is all wrapped up in the codexes anyway, even more so than AOS. I mean, you really need it if you want to play, or some sort of a scan of it. Like
I mean, yeah.
you can't do without it.
I mean, I personally think it was. I don't like when they release codexes early, especially because people play competitively. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of that. Just release the codex at once. Like I don't know why they need to split it up. Like I'm sure Beast Nuggets would have sold out even if they came out now. Um, so I'm not sure what the rationale is for having like a Beast Snagger release. It's gonna happen with Black Templars as well. We're gonna see like a limited release possibly, and then the codex will come out at a later date. And that will be really annoying for
Yeah,
people.
it's the precedent has been set by that. I think that Sisters of Battle box, right? That was from a few years ago. Did that come with the book?
I
Correct.
believe it did.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a bummer. The Lumineth one is the only Age of Sigmar one that they've attempted like that, and I don't think they'll be doing that for AOS too often going forward. Because also, just that game doesn't really need your book as much. Like it's nice to have it, but it's not truly essential. I would say,
Right. Well,
even though most people will get it.
well, I hope because I know John just mentioned the Black Templars. I would hope that the book would be sold separately, along
No.
with the box.
Heck.
It'll
No.
be cool. It'll be cool if they did what they did with the Beast Snagger, and all in one box has the book, has the models and all that. But buy the book separately too,
No.
as an
Not gonna.
option.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I would be pleasantly surprised it if that happened, but I doubt it at this point. It's too successful. Like Beast Snag is sold out instantly. Same with uh the Sisters box. I think that's gonna be their model forward when they release new armies.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real here. For anything 40K essential, always sells out immediately,
right?
and unless it's something like normal orc boys, something that they're mass producing because they know that's gonna be like a main thing everyone's gonna want. But special characters, books, special boxes. I mean, we all know that stuff's gonna sell out immediately as soon
Yeah,
as it goes up for pre-order. It happens in AOS. It just doesn't happen as much. Mainly, like coming to mind are just all the big monster characters that they released. I mean, I don't think any of those have any of those come back on the market.
Pretty slowly. I mean, for so the last big AOS release that we've had was the Soulblight release, and quite a bit of that was sold out, but not for that long. I think it was about a month that Blood Knights, Dire Wolves, and Skeletons were out of stock, and then they came back. And I don't think anything else, aside from like the collector's edition of like the book, which like sold out immediately, like was gone for a extended period of time.
Right.
yeah,
And I mean, that's just the imbalance of 40k and AOS, right? 40k is a
Bigger,
lot higher player
bigger
base,
game, bigger market.
right? So I mean, like, you're expected, unfortunately, because there's a lot of desperate people out there that want to get the models. So you got the scalper problem. So
right.
it's more likely for that stuff to sell out than AOS. Though I mean, AOS has proven that it does sell out of stuff. It's just we'll see if they're going to continue that made to order practice like they did with the kill team, I want to say.
which
They,
which
they
was
did
available for quite a while.
they did hint out that the Black Templars will get that model of made to order, which honestly, like, I don't get the point considering like everything in the Black Templars box is probably going to be available. Like the Beast Nagas box, we're going to see in the pre-orders as we talk about this article. But we're getting the boys, we're getting the squigs, we're getting the runt herd guy. Like that's kind of the box. Um, so nothing's really locked in there that would be worth the made to order thing. So it will be interesting to see how that works out.
Oh, that's concerning if they are planning on doing the made to order for that, because then it means it'll be like the Sisters of Battle box, where those models will be exclusive for quite a while.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work out.
Yeah, hopefully no to that one.
No, we'll have to wait and see how much effort they're putting into Black Templaring the Primaris Marines, right? So far, we've only seen
A squad.
one normal Primaris Marine that's
Yeah.
not a special character. So, and all he had was the little tabard or the little cloth. I can't remember what it's called right now. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure it would be just limited to that one box. Maybe an upgrade sprue later down the line, but
I think it's gonna be a full kit. And it unfortunately will probably be limited to that box.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, that was a tangent, wasn't it?
Good tangent. Good discussion.
It is looming on the horizon. One other thing that I must say is quite funny about this the Orc release. Yet again, uh, even though they've released, finally there's a plastic mega boss that's available. But theoretically, you could argue that there's two if you include the beast boss, even though he's a different unit. Once again, the cover of the Orc Codex is a mega boss that you cannot buy. Good luck converting that one. There is no mega boss with the claw outside of Gazgul, to my knowledge.
There's the Mega Boss. I think it's just a normal boss.
It's a normal boss, yeah.
Is that a boss that can be purchased at the time?
Yeah, it's that what's it called? Um, it's the guy with the squig.
He doesn't have tusks on him, does he? That I know the guy you're talking about. He comes with the squad of knobs. What is his name? I
Oh,
don't think he has a back banner either.
he has a back banner. Yeah, not that exact model, but you can get like the gun and the weapon are the same. No tusks, no face grill.
He's
But
got
the
a
rest.
He's
Same.
got no. You're right. Yeah, he's got no tusks, and his head is a little different, but he does have a claw and a back banner.
Yeah.
It's a little different though. It's just funny to me that yet again, even though it's one of the biggest orc releases in years, the cover is a guy you get to convert,
Yep.
Go buy
which
a Mumac, take the tusks off that, and attach it to the boy. There you go.
file him down. Very good, but it's a cool cover anyway.
It is.
Particularly the full art cover actually is really cool. It's interesting, like they zoomed in for the regular cover, but the the full art with like the Death Dread in the background makes Death Dreads way cooler than they actually are.
True.
Jeff Reds are really good now. We'll see.
Well, shall we look at this combat patrol box? Or not combat patrol, what is this?
Combat
Battle
Patrol, right?
box. Okay.
Combat Patrol.
So, everything in this box except for one model is all new stuff.
Buying 3 of these.
You're
Putting
buying
out.
3 of these.
Yep.
It appears to be the source of Orc Boys until further information comes out, and those Orc Boys are largely pretty limited in their bits, but at the same time, still an improvement, like sculpt fidelity wise, over the old Orcs.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I looked at like how old the models were, and yeah, the Orc Boys were 1999. I didn't realize they were
Yeah.
that old.
Yep, that's right.
21 years old. Jesus.
The upside is the individual Orc Boy sculpts are definitely better. The downside is that the kit is no longer going to be a source of bits for the rest of the Orc range. I'm not sure how swappable they are with. I think knobs are bigger, so they probably can't do too much arm bashing with them. It's particularly noticeable in this shot next to the war boss in the middle. To the right of him are 2 Orc Boys who are clearly the same.
yeah.
And there's been a little bit of bite on that online though. As I'm not an Orc player, probably should ask the Orc player what he thinks.
I
Am I
mean,
the Orc player?
I mean, John is the Orc player.
Okay.
it's the same thing with Marines, being a 30K player. Like, yeah, dude, the tactical Marine kit is so much more convertible than the Primaris thing. But if we have like 60 of them, it's not gonna matter, you know? Um, like I think overall, like I like this style more because, if you look at the horde, it doesn't look like it looks like a wild horde. If you have a unit of like 20, um it doesn't look like they're doing the same pose. Like if you had the old kit, they're pretty like all their legs are essentially posed the same. All their backs are posed the same. Their arms are pretty similar. And it's the illusion of posability that the old kits had. Um, I think I'd rather have this, and yeah, like the unit just looks more like a horde than like kind of like I think Tyranids are a good example of they kind of like if you look at Hormagaunts and Termagants, they all kind of look samey for a bunch of wild animals. They all have very similar.
Yeah, they suffer. They're they're pretty cool, but they definitely like the fact that their tails are all exactly the same is pretty is pretty bummer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, oops, my bad. Hit the mic there. I mean, John's getting 3 boxes of this, so of course you're gonna have the same stuff. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the sculpts, right? If you're gonna keep buying the same box of boys.
I think if the heads were more easily swappable between them, I think that would help a lot. Because I think weapons like orc players know how to convert things. Like if you want to give the guy holding a grenade in his left hand an axe head, you just gotta get the clippers and do it. With the necks, it's a little more challenging, but like well sculpted muscle and cloth, I think is just not as forgiving as armor when it comes to making things not look like they're clones. But the poses are much more dynamic than they otherwise have been. So I'm sort of 2 minds of it.
Yeah. Well. I mean, this is the price you pay for better models, right? Some stuff has to be sacrificed.
That's definitely true.
I mean, if the old kit was posable, yeah, but the old kit isn't that posable in my opinion.
It's not.
Same for Marines. Like I've built hundreds of Marines in my hobby life, and they're not posable in the
They
way.
definitely, yeah, definitely were not posable. Just the bits were more interchangeable than this set is without conversion.
I think that's. I mean, like Primaris, right? They're very interchangeable. I think this kit chose not to, or whoever designed this kit chose not to make it
Mhm.
interchangeable. Possibly because orcs are like wild creatures. They're not. You don't have a standard uniform or body and like standard arms. You could swap around and all that. Yeah, Marines being more like discipline and military. There's some sameness to their poses that allows for like standardization and like easily swappable arms and all that. Um, but orcs again being wild animal fungus things. I much prefer the variety in monoposed than it just looks unnatural. The old orc kit looks unnatural compared to this one.
You don't
Like
like the
they all
hunchback orcs?
not even the hundred. It's the legs. The legs all look the same.
Oh,
Like
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. The old orcs, like, I mean, pretty much legs are almost always not something you can pose very much, just across all models. So choosing more dynamic leg poses is absolutely superior to having them all be sort of the same for the sake of putting the torso in different directions. I mean, all the sculpts, all the sculpts in here are better sculpts than the best sculpt from that old box. It's just a matter of not having the extra bits. I think the one that pops up I've seen a lot mentioned in comments is that the heavy gunner always has the same hat, no matter what you do, unless you cut away his neck and resculpt his head, just from the way the sprues are laid out.
Hmm.
you mean the old box or the new
In
box?
in this new box, the
Got it.
the heavy gunner has a really cool helmet, but without conversion, because a lot of these, just on the pictures of the sprues, a lot of the heads and arms are connected to some way. It can be done. It's just going to be tougher than it was in the old kit, which is why I think. Um, I mean, but like the knobs look so much better. Like all of the individual sculpts look way better than like the best sculpt from the old box.
Yes, I agree with that fact.
So it is largely an improvement, I think. But I think since John is the actual person who's going to be playing Orcs, your opinion on it was a little weightier than the armchair general.
Hmm. Oh, I have a
I mean, I'm
question for John.
super happy with this kit. No, I have no complaints. This is probably the best combat patrol they've put out, in my opinion. Maybe the Dark Angel one edges it out. Um, just because those are all good. The Dark Angel one has one of the most useful, some of the most useful Primaris units are in that box. Um, and this one, the only weakness is if you buy multiples of it, you have multiple mega bosses. But if you're kit bashing or converting, you could easily make him like a big mech or something in mega armor or whatever, right? So never hurts to have multiple sets of boys. I'm not the biggest fan of the Def Copters, so they might stay in the sprue for a while, but Def Dread's awesome.
Yeah,
We'll multiples of those. This is awesome. I am pretty hyped.
yeah, it looks like a great starter set. Like you're not getting 10 boys in there. You're getting 20 boys, which is super cool.
Which is what you
It
need.
it feels significant. Like if this was the first thing you got, like you would feel like you have like the beginnings of a force, if not just a small 500 point force, so however many points these guys actually are. I guess that's probably why the Death Dread is in there, just to sort of beef it up a little bit in terms of like usability. Because I mean, Orc boys are what, like 6 points, something
No,
like that.
oh no, they're 9 points,
Oh, okay.
10 or something.
Yeah, they went up. They went up to 9 points.
They have another point of toughness now too.
And eight.
True.
+1 toughness, +1 AP on their melee weapons. Pretty
Oh,
big deal.
nice.
So this is a good buy in your opinion, then?
No, it sucks. No one buy it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Heard it here
I'm gonna
first.
support race by grabbing these mono post monstrosities for myself.
There you go. Heard it here. Don't buy it.
It is awesome. Super hyped.
Well, that was my question. I was gonna ask if he's was worth it or not.
Oh yeah, if you're starting orcs, which I am, like just buy 2 or 3 of these. I think 3 of these is like 1,500 points. Even without the mega bosses. So yeah.
Why are you so hesitant on the death copters?
Uh so my primary, I guess, factor for picking units is storage ability.
Ah, okay.
And I'm trying to fit my orc army in these baking trays that our buddy Fig discovered. It's a baking tray that's magnetic, so you know magnetize everything. And I think I need to build one and see how tall they are, and because if they fit well, then I can see myself taking some. Otherwise, they're saying this. I'm not really hyped about Def Coptas. I much prefer like the infantry, and the walkers. I actually like the bikes as well. I'm into war bikes, especially because Gazgul buffs war bikes and regular dudes with this great wah. Death Cop speaking vehicles, not the biggest fan, not as exciting to me.
Mm,
But if I have them and I'm done with everything else, I'll gladly put them on the table and see how they do.
okay. Well, let's move on to the rest of this article then. Got the Beast Snagga boys coming out as well.
These are
Surprisingly,
$50. The prices were leaked today. These are $50.
these are $50,
Yeah, Monopose boys.
and you get
Kinda
10 of them. So
pushing it, I think. But
aren't the old ones $50?
orcs,
Yeah.
they are 36 for 10.
Is it the older or the new?
The older orcs.
What about the new orcs? Yeah. Oh, we don't have anything on those, do we?
Really don't know.
Yeah. We're not sure yet if they'll be coming out on their own. I mean, presumably they will at some point, but we don't have. They have not confirmed if that the Orc Boy squad is going to be its own box yet, though I'm sure it will happen.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I think this is pushing the Gene Stealer issue of amazing models, priced well for the models, but you'll need a ton of them
For
in game.
gameplay. Yeah, kind of like Fellbats.
Well, these are
Right.
the 2 wound ones, right?
No, they're 2 points more than regular orcs. I think they got a 6-up invul and bonuses against vehicles and
Monsters.
monsters. Yeah.
Okay, so $50 for 10 incredible orc models. Okay.
Yep.
Got the Beast Snagga boy warlord here, war boss. You gonna pick this guy up?
I am not. It's a cool model, but gameplay wise, again, I'm starting the army, so I'm focusing on like building the list. I much prefer the cavalry guy, the guy riding on the Squigosaur. He's super cool.
Mm.
I mean, this guy's an awesome model, and I can see myself picking up eventually. But right now, he's just cute, like a cool model. Not really excited to put him on the table.
Now, before I get to the next character, I hear he's cheaper. Do you know how much he is?
In points,
No, money.
in money, oh, he's like $35, 35 or $40, from what I remember.
Yeah, because we got the Runt Herd guy. He's more expensive than that guy.
Yeah, I think the other guy's 35. This guy's 40. But I guess it's a $5 name character tax. You only need one of them.
You gotta drive out the prices somehow, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably won't be getting him, huh?
No.
Garad.
I mean, I got the Beast Naga box. Hasn't come in yet, but he's in there. He buffs Gretchen, and I kind of don't care about Gretchen right now. So no, probably gonna stay in the sprue for a while.
Gretchen are only good for their big guns.
Yep.
I mean, that might have changed. I really don't know anything about the new orcs. The beast, the what are these beast snagger riders? Squig hog riders.
Big Hog Boys, yeah, the cavalry.
How much are these?
They're
$60.
$60. But you do get three, and the knob is a separate unit. So I mean, you're getting pretty good value, I think. I mean, $60 is like three Stormcast Dragon Riders, and these are similarly sized. So I think this is it's pretty again for model to dollar ratio. I think it's a pretty good deal.
Hey,
Must have unit if you play Snake Bites or Beast Snaggers. Who doesn't like Squig Cavalry?
$60 is three Admech horsemen, right?
There you go.
So for $60, you're getting 5 models instead of 3. So let that sink in a little bit there. Next up, we got the Battle Wagon. I hear they're combining everything into here. So this the Battle Wagon's going up in price. I think it's
Yeah. The def roll of frame has been separate for like years.
Yep. But yeah, expect this to be going up in price. I think it's how much?
100.
$100. Jesus.
Because it used to be
60, right?
I think it went up. I think it was released at 60. I think it became slightly more expensive. It's hard to look right now because it's not available on the web store anymore.
Yeah. Really don't care, but I mean, orc tracked vehicles are to me the worst part of the orc line, in my opinion. I am really not a fan. I mean, I don't like 40k tanks in general, and these are like among the worst 40k tank designs in my opinion. So definitely not picking this up.
I remember using the Battle Wagon quite a lot with my orcs, but that was back in the day where you could have 15 Ludas. I hear you can't do that anymore. Now it's like 12 Ludas and 3 of the
The spanners or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. If it could repair the def roll well inside, it'd be cool, but I don't think it can. Or sorry, the battle wagon. I mean, not def roll.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just a shame. But yeah, so $100 for this thing then, huh?
Yep.
Is it still? Can you still convert stuff? Are they still accepting that, or did they crack down on that?
What do you mean?
The like converting a Lehman Russ or something like that.
I mean, depends on the tournament. People still use third-party demon princes all the time, so I don't think if your tournament is allowing Ultramarines using Imperial Fist rules, they'll probably allow this conversions of different tanks and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta make sure it's the same profile, same footprint and all that.
Yeah, pretty similar footprint. The one that always gets a little weird to me is the like uh, it used to be somewhat more common, but the looted Carnifex as like a stand-in for the battle wagon. That's a funny idea, but that model has a totally different uh, profile in
Yeah.
terms of how big it is and like how tall it is and like how much of the board it fills up. Very much also makes no sense that it could be a transport for like 15 dudes.
True. Well, I just looked up like a third party seller. Obviously, they're in the UK or in Europe. So converting it, it's like $45. Then you got to factor in shipping, so it'd be around like $60. The old battle wagon right now. So yeah, $40. $40 increase on this thing. It's gonna. Whew, I'd start looking at converting some cheaper vehicles, in my opinion,
Or just get killer rigs.
or get killer rigs. But yeah, so that's finally coming. The dice, data cards, whatever.
Pretty terrible for $35 dice, in my opinion. I mean, I will gladly spend $35 on cool dice, and these are not cool dice.
Yeah, just go to Etsy. Go to Etsy, get a better deal. I bought the T Sun dice, and it's just whatever. I kind of regret it.
Yeah.
Data cards or whatever. I've seen so 35 for the dice, 25 for the cards.
Yeah, same as normal.
Horrible. Their structure, the Big Ed, Boss Bunka. I assume no one's gonna get this other than for terrain.
I'm picking it up for terrain.
For terrain, yeah. Okay, that's what I figured.
My buddy's helping me build an orc board with all the kill team terrain, and I think this will fit quite nicely in there. But yeah, this is awesome because there's I was telling Will this a while ago that it's faction terrain that has buddies, so that's really cool. Like I think faction terrain is cool if you could build like 1,000-point board with it. I mean, now with kill team,
Yeah.
right? I'm getting some ideas of getting Necron terrain and or the Necron terrain, and then building a Necron kill team board.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty much what I see this building as, is just terrain, not used for what it's meant to be. And Warhammer Plus is here. We can quickly talk about this, I guess. I don't have it. I know John got it, but I don't think you've used it, right?
Correct. I didn't have time to watch. I got a busy weekend, but I did get my or order my Vindicare.
So what about you, Will?
So I got it, and it took about an hour and 40 minutes for me to watch everything on there, not including the battle reports. Um, the service is totally not worth it at the moment, but it probably will be really soon. There's just the fact that you can, even if I think if you watch the battle reports, which I think are an hour each, you can finish the entire service's lineup of exclusive video content in less than an evening, which is a pretty common, common criticism. And I think like as months go on, it's not going to matter as much. And some of the content that is there is really good. The two painting videos in particular are incredibly well done in my opinion, because not only are they function a little bit as tutorials, but what's more unique about them is they talk about the theory behind the techniques and like why you would use certain colors when painting a face, and like uh, as opposed to just like saying like, hey, here's like a cooking recipe for how you would wet blend a Zinchian shield. That stuff is great, but there's only 24 minutes of the Citadel Masterclass painting videos, and there's an hour and 20 minutes of the animations at right now. Like it's definitely like a service in its infancy, but it was a bit surprising also. Like I thought more of Hammer and Bolter was going to be available. Right now, there's only 3 episodes of varying quality. Looking forward to it being like November, where there's actually quite a bit more on here. Because as the library grows, the subscription price will make more sense. But it doesn't quite match up to similar Patreons, at least for battle reports and painting and stuff like that. The animations really are carrying the load right now of the sub.
Right.
But if you think about it in terms of you're getting a cool model that probably would be $35 anyway, the yearly subscription is very tantalizing.
Yeah, because you're paying what, $25 for the content.
Yeah, and if you subbed quickly, I think if you sub before tomorrow at midnight, you get a $16 voucher, which is just free, an arbitrary amount of free money. So then the sub becomes quite inexpensive. But I was disappointed that there was not more. In particular, the Blood Angel video is really cool, but really feels like they made a movie and then sort of just snipped it into pieces. Because like right as it gets going, it's over. It doesn't really end on like a place that would like make sense for like a 20-minute script. So hopefully the service improves. I did like the Citadel Vault stuff. You can look at select amount of like old sort of Warhammer lore books that you can't get anymore, notably Gathering Storm. You can look at it with just that's the lore that went into 8th edition, which was like really, really important, like some of the most important Warhammer lore in decades. So it's good that that stuff is available, at least somewhere. So yeah, Warhammer Plus is not the most impressive right now, but I don't think anyone was expecting it to blow their socks off. Not at first.
Yeah, well, I've I've stated before that it was really lacking a lot of stuff. I know they threw in a bunch of that stuff. That I'm looking at this right now, the White Dwarfs books, painting videos, and all that. They just needed a bigger library to open up with, really, to make it more
Yeah,
worth it. Because
I must agree.
back when they first announced it, I'm like, I guarantee you could watch their entire show, assuming the animations were gonna be 5 minutes long. You could watch that show and you can watch everything in a day, and then what would you do, right? I see they're going the Disney Plus route where they're gonna do everything every Wednesday. It looks like
Yeah,
so. In 2 days, there'll be new stuff there.
yeah. So I mean that'll be cool, and like it may if it's a weekly updating schedule, like that's pretty exciting. It's not a huge ask in terms of money, but it feels really insubstantial right now.
Well, I mean, it is just a. It's basically just cable, right? When it gets down to it, right? It's just every week. Tune in next week to see what happens on our channel, kind of deal, right? So I don't. I'm not knocking it. I mean, honestly, that's the best business practice to go.
Yeah,
That's how
I
you
guess
keep your people in.
I guess I'm knocking the launch. I think the launch is a little
Oh yeah, the
uh
launch was
is,
bad.
is a sad little tuba, but I mean it's gonna get better. That seems pretty clear. It's just like the content itself is not the problem. It's the lack of content, which is Captain Obvious over here.
I agree with you. They should have released a lot more.
If
Should
there
have
was
just
no
been big.
model, if there was no model at the end of the road, I
Disaster,
definitely would feel the buyer's remorse super hard.
disasters launch for sure if there was no free model.
Yeah, but the models are both really cool. So yeah,
I don't know.
GW typically doesn't knock it out of the park on the first time when they try to do something they've never done before. Which hey, it makes sense. Like the video player also doesn't quite work on all systems and all browsers. Doesn't have a native full screen either, which is odd. I thought that was very strange. And the animations don't have cast and credits in them, which is very unusual.
It seems like a lot of important stuff missing. But to make a comment on what you said, I mean, I don't even think the model at the end would suffice me getting getting this app really, or the subscription, I should say. Because honestly, I don't think the models are, to me, are that good. I think they could
I,
have done a better job.
I like them, but it's going to be a year before we can get them.
Right. And I think by the time we get halfway through the year, that's when the service will be actually worth something to a lot of people.
Yeah, if it doesn't change significantly in price over the course of the year, it may just turn into a really great value.
Well,
But it's
right,
not today.
right. Because I mean, you got to remember you also get the two apps as well, the Warhammer 40K and AOS app.
Yeah, the AOS app I don't think exists at the moment. Though the AOS app that they already had was really good, so maybe they just don't make a new one and just I don't know, throw some more content into the old one.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Like the AOS app is the ultimate example of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's my Warhammer Plus spiel.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be worth it once they release the 30K lore masters that will shut people up arguing about armor works being available in specific legions.
Yeah,
Well,
that will be great.
it's not being 30K, and it's like, nah, dude, it isn't 30K. Here's
The Rhino specifically. They just make a lore master video of here are the plastic kits you can use in 30K.
oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I would buy someone a subscription if that happened. You here to hear, folks. We'll do it. We'll do a raffle.
Yeah, we'll give away a subscription if they make a video of that nature.
Okay. Well, there you go. John said it, so it's now written down. John will buy someone a subscription to Warhammer Plus. For how long?
A year.
A year? Okay, a whole year.
Yeah.
Well, I will still be on the fence. I'm gonna wait until they release more stuff before I buy into it.
So maybe you'll win the sweepstakes, man.
Maybe I'll have to subscribe to the channel.
Co-host gives co-host the prize for the contest.
There you go.
Everybody wins.
Perfect. Well, so that's Sunday preview. I'm realizing now that the next article is just more of the combat box, and we've already gone in great detail on that. So let's move on to the next orc thing that we got, which I guess would be New Model Monday, which is Underworlds. We got the Cruel Boy, or is it just an orc?
He is a grot, sir.
Goblin, yeah.
Right.
He is a goblin.
But he's from the Cruel Boys.
He is a Cruel Boy aligned goblin. That is true.
So there we go. We're getting our first look into the new season, which I'm going to assume is going to be the Cruel Boys versus Stormcast.
I would think so.
Maybe I don't know. We'll see. 2 seasons in a row we don't have Stormcast. So, but to be fair, now there are new Stormcast models. So
yeah, and the last 2 seasons happened in the middle of an edition, so there was no new edition box to support. So I think it would make sense if they wanted to put some. Can't remember what their armor is called, but if they put some of the new, sleeker Stormcast in this box, that would make sense as something to support the get starting products, like they did with Shadespire and with Nightvault.
Now, I'm trying to remember. Is Underworlds a November release, or are they later?
it's a November release.
I guess I remember them being October, November. That they're typically in the fall.
Okay, because I remember there was a lot of news at the last LVO, the 2020 LVO, when there was some news about Underworld. I just couldn't remember if they were revealed in November or was it the LVO. So November it is when we'll get our first team. What should we take bets on what the new armies, new factions will be?
Oh man, could be so many things.
Or what you're hoping for?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think of what factions are left aside from like ones that obviously won't be in it, like Sons of Behemoth, who like would need a team.
Order of Seer.
Yeah, Humans is up there.
What about the Balloon Dwarves? Do they have a team?
Yes,
they do.
Yeah. Everyone kind of everyone has a team at this point.
Yeah, they've visited almost everybody, and they've also visited quite a few factions more than once, and some that are not even factions at all. Looking at you, the like the Kurnathi like Wild Hunt that came out with Beastgrave. They're totally unique, like Sylvaneth offshoot. They're like centaur, like fawn people. They do not have an army. Still no follow up for those guys, and they came out in 2019.
I guess I want to see like a revisit to like old teams like New Skaven, Slayers.
Yeah, there's more to do in a lot of factions. Like they could obviously go and they could do more with. I mean, they're gonna do more with Stormcast, but like Cities of Sigmar, they could do like a Dark Elf team. They could do like a traditional Dwarf team. There's a lot they could do there. Before there are no demon teams. That's true. There's like a couple demons in the Eyes of the Nine, like Disciples of Tzeentch Warband, but there's no teams that are just demons.
So demons, most likely. What about in celebration of Warhammer Total Warhammer 3? We could be getting like Kislevs and all that.
Or like humans.
Yeah, humans they could definitely do. Um, I don't imagine they're gonna have it be a tie-in with anything to do with the old world, as it's a pretty solidly AOS property. But they could do things that are inspired by that for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to think of the first edition of the game. So
So the
Nagash
game,
would be in there.
yeah. So the game launched with skeletons, Ard boys, Skaven, Fire Slayers, and then 2 warbands for Blades of Corn and 2 warbands for Stormcast. And I think in this release they've now hit everybody because Deepkin and Seraphon were some of the last 2 that people have been waiting for a really long time.
Ogres.
Um,
What about ogres? Have they been hit?
Ogre's got a team. There's 1 ogre in the team, but there is an ogre Maw tribe team. It's an ogre, his cat, and his noblars.
Okay then. Yeah, then I don't know. I would assume they're gonna start rehashing like they're doing with the Stormcasts, right? Put in and get another skeleton team in there.
That'd be legit. Or Soul Blight. Heck yeah, give me skeleton sculpts.
Oh my god, Graveguard. This could be how they try to micromanage some of the things that they wish had better sculpts. Because that was the case with the Death Rattle skeletons that came out with the first season of Underworlds. Is those guys were just better versions of the old skeletons. They were just more dynamic. And now
Yes,
we
they
have
were.
the new Ulfenkarn Soulblight skeletons that are way cool. But that the Death Rattle was sort of the heralding of things coming to change. Gloomspite that was also true for. I did not recall, but I looked it up, and the Gloomspite warbands did launch before the book did.
Hmm. Okay.
Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a human team this time, maybe more than one, and Chaos Dwarfs for sure. A Hobgrot team would be sick.
Oh my god, I've got to.
Hobgrot boss, let's go. Yeah, Underworlds basically never disappoints on the model department. At least in my book, even for like models that I don't particularly like they don't usually screw it up super bad.
That's true. The game I feel is getting kind of bloated. I mean, I haven't played, but like
Definitely true.
the rules, and it's like they're just adding more because you got all the teams got to be unique, right? Because
Yeah,
hypothetically, every team is playable, right? Actually, every team is playable, and you got to
yeah.
have some unique effects. Like each team needs a unique inspiration effect.
It has the advantages and disadvantages of being a living card game.
Yeah,
Um, so that is definitely true. I did play a little bit of Underworlds earlier this year with a friend of John and myself who really likes Underworlds. And Underworlds is pretty hard to keep up with, particularly because there's 8 new teams every year. Awesome for model collectors. Quite a task to keep track of the hundreds and hundreds of cards that have come out since the game launched in like 2017.
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Um, it's a really solid game for what it is, but it is not easy to sort of get up to date with it. And I think John is right on that.
Well, we can only hope
But
that more cool
this
sculptures
model
come.
is amazing, though. Speaking of Gicket, who came out today, he is so cool. The
Yeah.
nose sticking out of the grate is just amazing.
Yeah, very like I'm a goblin.
He's a goblin because it kind of echoes like Potgrot, or not Potgrot, Stabgrot, the guy from the starter set. So Stabgrot does not have a nose, as evidenced by the fact that his mask has like a little little iron bar over where his nose would be. This guy still has a nose, but his nose is not very protected, which makes me think that he soon will also be wearing the same kind of helmet. It's a great sculpt. It's like it just captures that like vicious goblin overconfidence. Like he's tiny and he has huge weapons. So cool and not overdone. I think there's not too much stuff happening here. I like that he has like the most normal looking boot that has ever been a boot. No spikes or anything. He's just got like a little leather, sock. Cool
True.
model.
Well,
Can't wait to see the rest.
you don't want to over put too much detail into stuff because I mean, in the end, it is just a grot. They're not supposed to have all the fancy equipment.
Just a grot.
They're
Them
just
fighting words.
they're just a food source. I don't know if they're a food source in AOS, but in 40k,
They,
they're
they definitely are.
all right. See, they're just a food source, so you don't need to pretty them up too much.
I mean, everybody kills them, but in theory, they can kill everybody back. So they're in a weird place in the food chain.
So how many grots and hobgrots do you think are going to be in this team?
There's 2. They said so in the article.
Oh, I didn't read that part.
We don't know if the other guy is a hobgrot, but that would be pretty cool if it was. But that seems also unlikely because the hobgrots are like explicitly, mercenaries who are loaned out to the cruel boys. Like they don't work within the hierarchy of the rest of the army. That's one of the reasons they're not battle line, though the book may change that.
We'll have to wait and see. But on that note, that is all the Warhammer news.
Tangent.
Tangent, go for it.
I'm painting orcs right now. Are you familiar with the new orc paint, Will?
Oh yeah.
Should I wash Athonian or Celia Greenshade?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, any of those will work. I think the Celia Greenshade may tone it down to be pretty dark. But if you want it to sort of be in like the style of the new orcs, like if you don't want them to kind of be sort of Iron Jaw-y, I would do Athonian Camoshade or Bealtan Green if you have that.
Cool.
Actually, honestly, you could also just do the contrast Orc Flesh over Auric Flesh, and that does a pretty good shadow.
Ooh, okay. I'll do that.
This has
Here to
been
hear.
painting tips from Will.
Thanks, Will.
I paint a lot of green things.
She does actually. That is not wrong.
John may be painting more green things than me, but that is definitely like Auric Flesh has really become very popular overnight, particularly with the contrast combo on top of it, because you can kind of just like do that, and then it leaves a really soft shade with the contrast, and then leave it there. You can go back to Auric Flesh if you want to for like a little bit of extra highlight, but it's a pretty good 1-2 punch.
All right, doing it now. Ooh.
All right.
All right.
Well, moving on. John posted some pictures for us for the Star Wars news. I'm looking at a super tactical droid here. I don't even know what this is.
The clone swamp speeder. It's in a movie for like.
Yeah, the swamp speeder. That's a good name for it. The droid wheel.
In the movie for 10 seconds.
It was in a lot of the animes.
Yes, and the video games.
Yeah. It's where I mainly remember it. So, since 2 of these are droids, I assume this makes Will happy that you're getting more stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean it's cool to see more stuff for that faction for sure.
Any plans on getting it?
Only because like my backlog is pretty crammed right now, and like the vehicles are cool, but they're not my favorite thing about the army. Very excited for the spider droid and the commander though. If this thing has fun rules though, it may become a higher priority. I like that droids can sit on the side of it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Droid transport.
It's, every time I see something sitting on the side of a vehicle, it just reminds me of Halo 2 and the Scorpion level. Just
Yeah.
of trying to keep the Marines alive while the space aliens destroy them. Very cool sculpts and ambitious too. It's proving that Star Wars Legion is not willing to just be resin and metal. In fact, they have no metal at all.
Correct. And
That's
no
the best part.
Yes.
I have a droid army, but I'm probably gonna pick up just the tactical droid. The tank's cool, but they're not my main faction. So probably just gonna stick with the tactical, super tactical droid. That's a really cool design too. Because I think the regular tac droid looks kind of derpy, but this guy looks badass. I do play clones, but I'm not getting the swamp speeder just because. I
Wait,
mean,
this
clones
is
are
clones?
defined. Huh? It's a clone thing, yeah.
Oh darn. Okay, good.
Clones are really defined by the. So in Legion, clone troopers can share buffs. Essentially, they can share tokens, but only troopers can do that, and that army kind of pivots on that mechanic. And vehicles are not infantry, so they can't share tokens. So unless this thing like Will said has really fun rules, I don't see myself making it up. I mean the design is cute, but not really the biggest fan of it. I like the other tank way more. And I have two of those because I really like the design. But playing my clones, I run mostly infantry because I just like that aesthetic. I think Empire has cooler vehicles like with the ATST. But I mean, like Will said, it's cool. This game is getting more plastic stuff in general. So
I'm glad you said that this was clones because I was honestly thinking about picking this up for my army.
for Empire,
Yeah. Just
like
because it looks so ridiculous. And who doesn't want to have a giant swamp speeder just running around the battlefield? But thankfully, I'm going to be saving money because this is just clones.
yes, it is just unless they release like an Imperial card. No, I
Then
doubt it.
I'll pick it up. It won't go well with my snow trooper army, but you know what? Some sacrifices have to be made. And then Armada. What can you tell me about Armada, John?
So it is really interesting. So I got into this game because of the Clone Wars stuff, and I think it's a pretty fun game. I never played it, but surface level looks really fun. Although regardless of me playing or not, it's just interesting that they announced. So the Armada team announced that they're not going to be making new kits for the next year, and they're going to just focus on making sure that kits are reprinted and restocked because right now it's that game is suffering from some stock issues. It's extremely difficult to get every ship available at a decent price. You gotta do a road trip and visit game stores across the country. Because a lot of it is sold out online.
Sorry to
Um,
interrupt you. I got a question for you, though.
oh yeah, what's up?
Armada, is this the big battle with like lots of ship, or is this the skirmish one?
This is the one with the big ships, like the Battlefield Gothic thing.
So like tabletop terms, this is 40K, not Warcry, right?
Epic.
Well, I mean, like you have a lot of it instead of just like a band of people, right?
No, you have you have few models, but they're all giant ships. So it's kind of like Titanicus, where you have few models, but they're all giant models.
Right. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of X-wing, right? That's the
yeah.
one.
X-wing is the one where you have like the small ships. Like yeah,
Okay.
this is like you got star destroyers, you got Mon Calamari frigates, you got the Vanators and the Separatist dreadnought. So like the big ships. Again, like it's literally Battlefield Gothic, right?
Got it.
Um, and it is for sure the least popular Star Wars game that AMG makes.
That's probably a factor. I mean, it's definitely a factor because like they're doing Star Wars Legion, X-wing, and Crisis Protocol for Marvel. They might just not have the bandwidth to do 4 games. Even if this doesn't mean that like they say like we want to support the game. Like they may not be able to just realistically release anything for a while. Like Brexit exists too. Like there's lots of potential problems. So they may just be saying like, "Hey, don't expect anything for a while," and then you know make sure that at least the stuff you need to play is still available.
Exactly. Now that I agree with, but the community was very upset with this news. They're like,
Obviously.
game's dead, game's dying. Even though they said like we're not killing the game, we're just Um, and I bring this up because this kind of goes into the conversation of why GW isn't as transparent. Um, because again, the backlash for this was really bad. For
Yeah, I can imagine.
my games being abandoned, blah blah blah. Even though it's It's like if GW straight up said like, yeah, we're not going to be releasing Cursed City until whatever, until a year from now when everything, is, taken care of or whatever. Um, but instead they just kind of not talked about it.
Yeah,
So,
transparency doesn't always win you the most favors if the news is bad.
yeah, as evidenced by this particular incident.
Th-
Well,
that example of Cursed City might still be up for debate, though. I mean, like for me, like if I have like a roadmap and I know, what the situation is, then I can, plan better for it. Like if they said like, hey, the dice machine exploded, you can get Cursed City again in like fall of like 2022 or something. Like it would be annoying, but then, then I would know. But probably people would be more mad than they would be happy.
I'd like to put 2 cents here. Um, I don't know anything about Atomic Mass Games. I don't know what their release schedule was like or anything. But in terms of GW, I mean, they set a precedent of where like they're releasing something every week. So
Yep.
when they went on that 2 week hiatus, I mean everyone was mad because expectation was every week we get
Right.
something. I don't know, like I said, I don't know anything about Armada because I'm not into it. But you would think they'd release like one model, if anything. Do you know what
D-
their schedule was like, John?
does
They
it
released- Oh, what's up?
does FFG release something every week?
No,
They
yeah, at
might. They
least
might.
something, uh, they released something, but yeah, they release something every week for sure. It may not, it could just be like a single card pack for Arkham Horror, right? But they do release something.
Yeah, they have a broader net than GW does in terms of their products and less crossover between them. So I
Right.
think they do make something every week.
Right. Well, I mean that's just the thing, because I don't know what Atomic Mass Games makes. I didn't know they made other things. I didn't thought they were just doing Armada, but that's fine. I would rather them say something like this, that they're not working on making any new models and whatnot, because I think that puts more trust into the company, in my opinion. Where you guys brought up the Cursed City situation, and the reason that's such a bad taste in everyone's mind is because it wasn't advertised as like a limited release.
Right,
People thought if it sells out, it'll be available in like a month or two. And the problem is that it never came available again. And that's
right.
why everyone's
Right.
pissed about it.
And no
And the
one
fact
knows
that,
for sure why.
yeah, and GW hasn't mentioned anything about it, really. Other than I don't know, what was it? Some leak posts or some Twitter that say that they have no plans on making the game at all.
Yeah, and there's that 4chan alleged GW employee who said that yeah, Games Workshop was losing money because of the cardboard thing and just decided not to reprint it.
Right.
Um,
So,
but it's all secondhand information, right?
right. But that's the thing, right? When Cursed City was announced, it wasn't announced as a limited thing. So people had expectations that they'd be able to get it later. The fact that they said that it was allegedly, since they stated that it was limited after pre-orders were done and all that, that's where everyone got mad about the transparency issue. I'd rather have this saying that we're not working on anything else for the rest of the year or whatever. And I understand that. I'm like, okay, cool. I have my expectations. In fact, my money will be saved now.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning is fair too. Like again, for a game with such terrible product shortage, I think it's good that they're focusing on making sure you can get other stuff. Because imagine, like not being able to buy like Dark Eldar Raiders for like 6 months. I'd rather or like Orks, Black Templars, right? Maybe intercept. I don't know, like Redemptors were like unavailable for 6 months. I'd rather they focus on bringing that back than releasing Black Templars, for example. I think that's just better for
Right.
the player base, than just like releasing new stuff and old stuff not not being available.
Right, like for Warhammer Underworlds, right? Which we were talking about, how like it's you kind of have to have everything if you want to stay current with that game. If you weren't in the first 35 minutes to order the Crimson Court, which was the vampire team back in April, they weren't available again until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's when you got your
And
cost, right?
yeah, and they were going. That kit sells for like $35 and was going for like $100 on eBay. Um, yeah, like that's a long time to not have it, and that's an unusually long time for Games Workshop. So yeah, I think you make a good point that it's good that they're like making sure the parts of the game that actually do exist can be made available, because then the secondhand market gets out of control if there's no supply from the developer.
Yeah. Well, I wish them the best because I mean, every hobby has those doomsayers, right? I
Oh yeah.
Like I said, when GW went on hiatus for 2 weeks, you got those doomsayers out there saying that the GW's dead.
Yep. Absolutely.
And of
I mean,
course, nothing came of it.
those doomsayers, have a full time job. They got to say it every week.
Absolutely.
Sure. So
Every
they don't
conversation.
always, yeah, they don't always have to make up a new reason, but they got to at least, clock in and then punch out after doomsaying.
True. But I wish Atomic Mass Games well. Hopefully, this doesn't affect them too much.
Well, they're doing great. I mean, they're the ones who are making X-Wing, Legion, and Marvel Crisis Protocol. So they're in good shape. It's just Armada players are kind of like womp womp.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
I mean, you said they're not completely abandoning it, right? It's getting updates. It's just not getting models.
Correct. They're saying, yeah, we're not releasing anything new for the next year. At the very at the least, focusing on restocking.
Cool. Sometimes the game doesn't need new stuff.
Yeah.
It just needs tweaks. Well then, I think we can jump into hobby rants. Unless you guys got anything else, other news stories you want to talk about?
Nope.
I tried Athonian and Orc Flesh, and Athonian looks way better. So, FYI for listeners.
Damn, dude.
Okay then.
What you could also have done is Warp Lightning, but
Too late.
Athonian Camo Shade is a really good color and also won't screw you wrong. But the contrast paint as the shade thing is becoming very popular these days.
I can see
But
why.
yeah, you found what worked for you.
Well, John, we'll start with you then. How was hobby this week? Or whatever you did.
Played Guild. So I got my commandos. Thanks to Will, who was trading his commandos. Since my commandos are still in the mail. Actually, I think I'm getting him soon, so could repay him soon. It's interesting that this is okay. First off, this is an amazing kit. I love the detail. I love the individuality. I love that you could, they're multi kit in the sense where like every boy could every boy except for one has a variation.
Yeah.
Actually, two has a variation. However, the sprue is absolute garbage. So there's 3 sprues, right? And like so the example, like so I build the knob first, right? And his power claw is in 3 separate parts, and they're in the 3 different sprues. And I'm like, what the heck? And the kits like that. You'll have like the Burner Boy where his flame tank is in a different sprue from his flamer from the nozzle, or sorry, the piping, excuse me. And it was just a pain in the butt to build. I mean, again, the kit was once you found the pieces, it was great, but the layout of the sprue was just like incredibly annoying. I wasn't mad. I was just like, wow, this is really annoying. Like, why is the freaking like the big shooter specialist like his scope was in the other side of another sprue?
Had to go on a scavenger hunt to build the model.
Exactly, yeah. And to be fair, I've been spoiled by the recent kits where like, you know, all the pieces are relatively in cohesive order. Like, I think a good example was like Cursed see the skeletons and the new skeleton kit, like all like a skeleton, like his torso is next to his sword, next to his head, stuff like that, next to his legs. So it's pretty easy to like build the guy. But yeah, the bits here were just all over the place. Again, amazing kit though. Lots of character, lots of bits. Looking forward to my second set so I can build the other options, all that. So I did that. Played some more Kill Team. I played my buddy Donnie, or Will and our buddy Nathan were there. Uh, uh, Concealment is really powerful in that, and I think is a crucial part of that game. So for listeners who don't know, in Kill Team, when you activate your or when you start the turn, you can either make your guys, you give them an order. They're either engaged or concealed. Engaged means they can do anything. They can do actions. They can attack, all that. When they're concealed, they lose the ability to shoot or charge. However, if they're in cover, they can't be seen, even if they're 6 inches away. Like if they're in cover, if the count is being in cover, um, then they're out of sight. And I think that really helped with mitigating just getting shot at instantly. It helped. It helped some of my units survive the first turn or two from getting shot. And some units that like the veteran guardsman sniper and the veteran guardsman spotter that have silent weapons, which means they can shoot while concealed, which means they can, they could do damage without being shot at. And I think concealment management is going to be a crucial part of the new kill team. And I think it's also a fluffy thing. If you want your guys to survive and you want to get them somewhere, then you give them the conceal order. Like they lose the ability to shoot, but you get to position them in a better spot. Which I can imagine it being good for like melee characters where you just conceal them and you do a move dash, so they get them in a position for the next turn where they can charge. Um, One more thing is the codex versus index meme for Kill Team, where I do feel that I don't think that the newer kill teams, the commandos, well, the vet guardsmen ones that I played, I don't think they're more powerful than the other teams. But they definitely do feel more interesting. For example, if you play a Space Marine kill team, you got your sergeant, you got your attack marines, and you got your heavy weapons guys. If you play a vet guardsman or commando kill team, you got like actually 10 unique data sheets, all with different abilities. So you got your spotter who calls mortar strikes, you got your radio operator who like relays orders, you got your sniper who snipes things, you got your zealot that makes guardsmen angry so they hit better. You got your medic that heals people. It just feels more interesting, and I do feel that moving forward when they release more kill teams, if that's the feature of kill team, I can really see it being a really interesting game with all your different specialists. Um, again being their own unique feeling like their own unique models, more than just like the hobby part where you make your own guys, but more the gameplay as well. It'll feel like you're having 10 different guys as opposed to just a bunch of clones of each other, right? So that I think that's really cool. I'm very excited for the new kill team. I'm pretty hyped for orcs right now, but right now I'm paying my commandos and very excited to put these on the table. um yeah, just super happy about the new kill team.
That's cool. What hurts my soul is that you said the power claw is in 3 pieces.
In 3 pieces. There's the top, the bottom, and the thumb. Now, once you find them, it's super easy to put together. Like it slots in. There's like a peg, so super easy. But gosh, it is you got to do scavenger hunt
Yeah,
for it.
that spruce sounds like a mess. Kind of glad I didn't grab it then.
I think it's worth grabbing at some point. Unless you just hate building, then you might have a hard time.
I
But
do. I do hate building.
well, yeah, then that might be an issue because yeah, definite scavenger for that.
Well, sounds like a fun week. How about you, Will?
Did a lot of continuing to build up my Gloomspite because I want to have 2K of that. Thankfully, a lot of the hard work is already done in terms of like my battle line is all ready to go. I've got uh, like 60 grants, fully completed. So I have like my blob of 60 if I need them. Like I've got my cave squigs and stuff together. I just need to do cavalry and monsters at this point, which is not so many models, in terms of number, but it is the models are, they take longer to do. because they should look nice because they represent a pretty big part of the points of the force. So yeah, I'm still working on that.
Nice. I got a game of Thousand Suns in.
Hey,
Did
Nice.
our Burning of Prospero 2.0. I fought against some Space Wolves, and yeah, it's pretty much what I thought the T Suns were gonna be. Pretty low tier, unfortunately. Even with a new book, they got the magic down, especially the Cabal points. That new feature that they have can be really swingy, but yeah, they're really lacking in the unit department, which is sad. And a lot of their stuff was taken away. They made them powerful, such as the +1 to your invul save and poor Magnus not being time warped across the field.
were there any changes to the new rules that you find to be better?
So Cabal points, I thought Cabal points were really good. For those who don't know, you just need certain amount of Dusty Boys to accumulate that. And that gives you stuff like add 2 to your cast roll, add 1, automatically cast a spell at its lowest value, get a command point, a bunch of useful stuff. But it requires you to really get rubrics in there and sorcerers and all that, because those are the ones who generate the Cabal points. So that was really good. Being fearless, all your rubrics being fearless is nice. So unless you're fighting something with blast weapons, there's really no reason not to run a big blob of boys. Just plop down 20 rubrics next to someone, have fun. Other than that, I don't really see anything else. Not much has changed too much, other than some of the cult spells, which rest in peace, Cold of Time. You will be missed. But yeah, other than that, it's the Vortex Beast. Everyone ignores that monster. That's actually a good model now, in my opinion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's what hurt it last edition was that I don't. Do you guys know what the beast does?
No.
Okay, it's basically like an AOE mortal wound machine. It just goes around, and in the shooting phase, you just roll a dice, and then this is 8th edition. You roll the dice and see what you will do in terms of mortal wounds to people, and that was about it. So on a 2+, it would go off. If you were half wounded, on a 4+, it would go off. They got rid of that, thank God. They also got rid of the fact that all of his stuff was 9 inches, unless you were halfway, where you would go up to like 18 inches. Now it's just a flat 18 inches. He can shoot that mortal wound stuff anywhere. Good stuff. And he used to regen 1 wound a turn. Now he regens D3 wounds a turn. So definitely a lot better than what he used to be. Obviously, being a monster probably won't be taken, but it's good to see that he got buffed. And I did utilize him a lot in my game against the Space Wolves. I probably would have won by a lot more points in that game, but I didn't read one of the missions right, so I totally screwed myself over on those points. That's what happens when you don't read your objective fully. But yeah, Thousand Suns. I only had 1 game with them, so I would definitely need to get a little bit more in to say, but definitely below average, unfortunately.
We'll see. I mean, people thought the Dark Eldar were below average when they first came out. Then, bam, like 70% win rate. So
Right.
hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the case.
Right. It feels like they just needed a little bit more unit types in there, but we'll have to wait. Again, only my first game. I'll get more games in later, and we'll see what happens.
Here's the thing, though. Even if they became OP, that doesn't change the fact that there's few unit types, and I think that's just that just kind of sucks. I definitely agree with you there for Thousand Suns, like just not having unit types, because that's a fact, right? Like you don't have a lot of stuff, even if the stuff you have is super good, at some point, you'll run out of options for like to make things interesting. So
Yeah,
that
having a small stable is not to be envied,
Yeah.
even if the stable is powerful.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much what I expected when the book was gonna come out. I knew we were just gonna get a hero when we were gonna get our book, even though I was hoping we'd get more. But even with that, I knew they still weren't gonna be too powerful. Though the things that hold the Thousand Suns back is one, limited unit type, and two, they're Space Marines. So they're not gonna be top tier, unfortunately, and they probably never will be. That's just the sad reality of it.
right. We'll see. We'll see.
You'll see. I'll keep getting more games in, and maybe my opinion will change to them being average. Because I mean, the psychic abilities are good. A lot of them are just, in my opinion, unnecessarily renamed just to be more Thousand Sun specific. But because like warp time, they got rid of warp time and changed it to something I don't remember what it's called, temporal something, to where it's just like, yeah, it only affects infantry, cavalry, and beasts, I want to say. And keywords not missing in there is Titanic. So no more Magnus zooming 32 inches across the board, turn 1. We'll go wreck face. Also, speaking of good old Magnus, his super smite got nerfed as well. It's no longer 2d6. It's now 3d3. So no more unlucky 12 mortal wounds coming out of Magnus. Other than that, I mean, yeah. It's okay. Other than I'm also just painting up whatever Thousand Suns I have left that still need to get touched up. But I'm having fun with them. And that's all that matters in the end.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, competitive wise, I'll keep my Dark Eldar. Fun wise, I'll go with my Thousand Suns / Black Templars. Whenever that Black Templar book comes out. In 2 months. But other than that, for such little news we had, we did extend this out a lot. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Kill Team is amazing.
Kill Team is amazing.
The best skirmish game Games Workshop has released that is not Necromunda. And even though Necromunda is amazing, there are no Orks, Eldar, or Tau in Necromunda, or Space Marines. So if you're looking to get into, if you're looking for a good 40k skirmish game, play Kill Team. Super worth it.
So the answer then, the final thing is that if you like playing either of those games, get Genestealer Cults.
Yes, actually.
The Genestealer Cults available in all products.
Correct.
Or Chaos Cultists.
The Genestealers have better models. But yes, Chaos Cultists, if you abuse by abuse I mean do a cross-country road trip and find the Blackstone Fortress guys, could make some cool kill teams and Necromunda gangs with those as well.
Go. Alright then, well, thanks to everyone who made it to the end, and I guess we'll see you next week. Till then.
Until next time.